Have you ever played against someone that hit so hard that you just couldn't do anything about it? Or maybe you've seen a couple of advanced players across the court and you've seen them bashing those balls, hitting super heavy winners, and wondered, I wonder what it'd be like to play against them. Well, here's what it would look like for most players. It would feel amazing. It'd feel great for the opponent. Unfortunately for us on the receiving end, it feels very frustrating. I mean, if you ever experience this for yourself, if you try to take it early, you end up mishitting the ball. If you try and let the ball rise, well, now you're hitting way above your shoulder. And if you're letting the ball drop, then you're pretty much standing at the back of the fence. And worst of all, they're getting all of this confidence at your expense. So if you can relate to this experience, don't worry, I've got you. If you look at high-level players, you'll see three main methods of players handling these heavy balls. One is catching the ball on the rise. Two is hitting the ball at the apex. And three is letting the ball drop. While you might prefer one of these methods above all else, the best players in the world are able to deploy all of these methods depending on the ball's incoming difficulty, the player's court positioning, and the overall game strategy that you might have. So buckle up, because if you apply all of the concepts mentioned in this video, you'll be not only handling these high, heavy hitters, but you'll also be dominating the court. Let's go. Time and time again, players like Agassi, Djokovic, and Federer use the on-the-rise technique to dominate against other hard hitters in the game. So why is this so effective, you ask? Well, there are several reasons. First, you're stealing valuable time from your opponent that they would otherwise use to recover for the ball and get to the next shot. You're also cutting off the angles, which means you have less court to cover, and thus you're saving your precious knees and getting superior court positioning. Not only that, but you're also redirecting the opponent's pace. And this allows you to hit very aggressively without losing control or excessive energy. And best of all, you're gonna be able to drive the ball deeper and faster because you're hitting the ball within your strike zone. In other words, by mastering the on-the-rise shot, you won't just be getting pushed around the court anymore. You'll be the one dictating the rallies. So here are the 4 steps to mastering the footwork and timing of hitting the balls on the rise. First off, you're gonna start with hitting the ball in your strike zone. That's usually gonna be around between your knee and your waist height. And the reason behind this is because you're gonna be able to swing more aggressively this way without worrying about hitting the ball in the net. And also, you can keep your arm and shoulders in a pretty comfortable position throughout the shot. Now, there is one exception here. If the ball lands pretty deep and it shoots right at your feet, you could actually take it right off the bounce. And here you're gonna try to swing upward at a steeper angle so that you can redirect the pace. Now from here, number 2, you wanna focus on the timing of your swing. The faster and deeper the balls are coming, the earlier and quicker you wanna release your hands off the racket and begin your forward acceleration. Now, timing in tennis is not super cut and dry. There are all these kinds of variations of spin, pace, and depth that the ball is coming at you, so you can never perfectly use something like the ball's bounce as a cue for when to start your forward swing. So let's put this in perspective. For example, let's take a mid-pace rally ball, okay? And you're gonna try and time your swing on these balls. Usually you're gonna find that you're gonna end your backswing around the ball's bounce and begin your forward swing as the ball starts to rise. But if you try the same kind of timing on balls that are landing a lot deeper and faster, then you're obviously gonna be late coming into contact. And this is exactly why when players deal with balls that are landing deeper in the court, when they have that same frame of mind of timing when the ball bounces and stuff like that, you start to notice that they get a lot more jammed in their contact, and this leads to a lot more mishits. So if you're hitting the ball right off the bounce, try next time to start your swing a little bit earlier so that you're already in this flip position by the time the ball is rising. No matter what, timing comes down to one thing. Can you get in the perfect contact position no matter what, depending on the oncoming ball's pace, spin, etc. Now let's talk about backswing. The faster and heavier the ball is coming, usually the shorter you want your backswing and take back to be. Now you can actually keep your backswing pretty compact by keeping your racket on the right side of your body. And that's understandable because with a shot like this, we want a lot more stability and control rather than speed through this relaxation. Now, on the backhand especially, even on the one-hander or two-hander, you'll notice that players are going to shorten their swing significantly, and they often end up finishing with the tip pointing up to the sky. Lastly, you want to lower your contact point by bending your knees and dipping your hitting arm shoulder down. The reason that you want to adjust to the ball's height with your body instead of your arm, which we'll get into, is because it'll mess up your entire swing path and you won't get the ball over the net. And as you're swinging into contact, you want to stay low as you're rotating into the shot, whether it's your forehand or backhand side. And you want to avoid coming up on this shot, so no leg drive here. Taking the ball on the rise is one of the most powerful arts in tennis. So it's enough to make an entire new video off of it, but only if this video gets 3,000 likes, just so that I know you guys want to see it. If you want us to make a full-fledged video on that, go smash the like button and let us know. Now, sometimes it's impossible to catch the ball on the rise because simply the ball is bouncing too far away from you. So at this point, you can either hit the ball at a higher contact point, or you can let the ball drop by moving backward. Now, let's say in this case, I were to move back and let the ball drop. Well, there are several huge disadvantages that I get. My opponent has lots of time to recover. It's harder for me to hit angles. It makes it easier for the opponent to hit angles on me, as well as hit volleys and drop shot winners and everything else. Not to mention the amount of effort that it takes to hit an equally deep shot from way back at the baseline. On the other hand, if you're able to master the shot from a higher contact point without losing control, you'll be able to turn what was once a weak shot you're moving back on into one of the most offensive shots in your game. You'll have more access to angles, or you'll be able to arc the ball nice and high right back at them. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I see players make when they try to get these higher balls is to raise their whole arm up to get into this position. But what you'll notice here, if I raise my arm up like this, is it puts me in a very unstable position with my shoulder, impinging it and making it harder to control the shot. So instead, just like we covered with lower balls, I want you to adjust to the higher height of the ball by tilting your shoulders up this time and going across the ball. Now you can start this by preparing in the backswing stage with your spine vertical and upright. Then from there, as you rotate into the shot, your hitting arm raises to the level of the ball while your arm is still in that optimal position. Now on higher balls, I recommend that you get in a more open stance, especially on forehands, so that you can get that added advantage of rotating into the shot because your contact will be a little bit more in front of your body. And as you begin to accelerate, focus on aggressively pushing off the back leg and getting that leg drive while you're turning your hips and torso into the net. Some pros like to use the same exact footwork pattern on their two-handed backhand and also even the one-handed backhand with players with more extreme grips. But what you'll probably see more commonly on the backhand side is a high closed stance with the torso still upright, but you're rotating into the shot, and if the ball is too high, they're either going to perform a jumping backhand or a slice. Now on both your forehand and backhand side, I want you to visualize your racket head above your hitting hand at contact. Now anatomically, this is done by internally rotating your shoulder, just like so that the racket tip is actually slightly pointing upward like so. And this is completely opposite from the lower balls that we talked about, where the tip will be slightly down from external shoulder rotation, giving you more room to roll over the ball for topspin. And lastly, you want to start generating some power by performing what I call this chest fly motion, the horizontal shoulder adduction, and pulling this arm aggressively across your body while your racket continues to roll over your hand. If you want to see a video on how to crush high balls, we've actually made several, so check them out here. Now with slower courts and spin-friendly poly strings, we've actually started to see a surge of modern pro players standing further and further back behind the baseline. And I'm not talking about those players that just stand really far back and loot the balls and play defense all the time. This is a totally different breed of players. They stand back and let the ball lose some steam so that they can aggressively swing out and actually take control of the rally from the back of the court. And you can see this especially on the return of serve, where players like Medvedev and Schwartzman will stand several feet behind the baseline, letting the ball lose some steam and hitting the ball aggressively for more power and spin. Overall, this is perfect for those of you who really rely on explosive power and speed in your shots. By letting the ball bounce and travel continuously throughout the air before it reaches your contact point, the ball has lost already more than 50% of its speed before getting into your contact. So this allows for easier timing, better contact height, and most importantly, more time to load and explode. For these kinds of shots, you want to focus on generating power from your legs and hips and your prime muscle movers while keeping your hitting arm relatively relaxed. From there, as you rotate aggressively and you pull forward with the arm, you'll notice that you're gaining massive racket head speed that equates to a faster shot. And through contact, you want to focus on extending all the way up and through so that you can maximize the pace, spin, and depth that you create. And if you apply this correctly, you'll start noticing yourself getting those weaker replies. Now, at this point, if you look at players like Nadal, Thiem, or Wawrinka, you'll see them generating massive amounts of pace from behind the court. But this isn't necessarily where they finish all of their points. The key with these amazing hitters is that as soon as they see a slower or shorter ball, they're moving up and attacking right away. And this is actually something that Marcos Giron actually mentioned in another channel called My Tennis HQ, which, by the way, hosts some amazing content by Karu.
It's not the velocity of shot that affects you. He actually plays short, but makes it very hard to play in the strike zone. And he gets you off the court, and he's so quick. Once you hit a ball that's not good, he's able to take advantage.
So in essence, don't lock yourself up at the back of the court. Instead, use it to elicit weaker balls and try to finish those points at the net. Now, to help you apply these techniques that you just learned onto the court, we've put together 2 additional bonus drill videos that you can check out by clicking the first link in the description below. And as always, athletes, go out and train hard. I will see you in the next video.